Who is the artist? Marc Chagall, Rene Magritte, or Paul Klee? You'll learn how to identify the paintings of each of these famous artists who painted what they saw in their imagination, the world of fantasy. They lived and worked in the 20th century. Although they all painted imaginary subjects, each artist had a very personal style, as you will see. These paintings were done by Marc Chagall, and they show the kinds of things that he loved to create, things that he saw in his dreams and memories, painted in rich, beautiful colors. There were many symbols which he often repeated in his paintings. People flying through the air, often upside down or sideways. People with two faces. Animals, some with human faces. Flowers, geometric shapes, and many other symbols. Rene Magritte was known as a surrealist. That is, he was fascinated with the bizarre and fanciful. And his works contained an unexpected and illogical combination or juxtaposition of colors, shapes, and ideas. But his paintings are full of fine detail and careful technique, even though they show situations that are quite impossible in real life. Childlike, whimsical, and very sophisticated are words that have been used to describe the work of Paul Klee. This inventive Swiss artist made thousands of paintings in his lifetime, many of them very small in size, but he also played the violin like a professional musician. Look now at the work of each of these artists so that you can study closely and analyze each painting. This is a self-portrait by Marc Chagall at the beginning of his career, soon after he arrived in Paris from his little hometown in Russia, where he was born in 1887. And he moved to Paris when he was 23, but was very lonesome, and 4 years later returned to his Russian hometown, Vitebsk, where he soon married. His wife died in 1944, and 4 years later he returned to France and remained there the rest of his life. He died at age 97. Now, what do you notice in this self-portrait? Yes, the artist has 7 fingers on his left hand. Perhaps he is suggesting he needs a special hand to paint all of the dreams and fantasies that he has in his wonderful imagination. His palette has many hues of paint because Chagall loved color. Now, we can see some of the symbols or icons that he often put into his later paintings. The Eiffel Tower is one, and the tiny Russian village. As a young man in Paris, the artist that Chagall met influenced his way of painting. Now, he tried many different styles: Cubism, Surrealism, and more. Now, his particular use of color and form comes partly from French Cubism and Russian Expressionism, painted with a surrealism that was his very own. And because he was homesick, he painted the things that he remembered in his hometown. I and My Village is one of the pictures. Now, as in a dream, everything looks real enough to recognize, but very different. Now, we see a man with a green face and a cow's head that surrounds a woman milking a cow, topsy-turvy houses, and more. But look closer. Now, there are geometric shapes too, circles and triangles everywhere. In Vitebsk, Chagall's village in Russia, half the population was Jewish, including Chagall's large family. They were poor, but there was much to be happy about, especially the feast days with their colorful clothes and banquets and big family get-togethers. Chagall's uncle played the violin like a gypsy. You can see how Chagall had learned about Cubism from the way he divided the purple coat into geometric shapes. The clouds, too, seem to be parts of circles. But the green face and hand, the floating figure in the sky, and the little box-like houses are all creations of Chagall's own amazing imagination. Chagall called this painting the Green Violinist. When the young Marc Chagall lived in Paris for a few years before returning to Russia, he painted this picture, which he called Paris Through the Window. It suggests that he was not always happy in the big city. The double-faced man may be wearing a mask, or perhaps one face is looking out the window and the other is reminiscing about his life in Russia. The man has a heart painted on his hand, perhaps a symbol for the girl he left behind. The cat with a human face looks like a frightened sphinx. A train is upside down. Two tiny figures are lying in the street near the Eiffel Tower. What other odd things can you see? Maybe this fantastic dream was a nightmare.